From Greater Sandton and beyond, get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, welcome to the Sandton Times Hour, edition 165. It's week 28 of 2024, and of course, available on all leading digital audio channels. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send through your questions, your comments, or your feedback on email. You can email editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect on social media at Sandton Times, as you have been doing so well. We hit 14,000 followers on Instagram this week, which is really great. So thank you for doing that. And of course, visit the website www.sandtontimes.co.za and check out all the latest content on there. And of course, if you're on the Listen app, you'll be able to get the podcast, the live stream, and the website content all on one platform, which is really great. A very special welcome to everyone listening for the very first time, as well as all our regular listeners to the Sandton Times Hour in Johannesburg and Pretoria, across South Africa, anywhere and everywhere else in the world, of course, online or on air. Wherever you are, I'm happy to report that all is well in Sandton land. And Vincenzo joins me again behind the mixing desk. Looks like you had your revenge, Vincenzo. On the one hand, of course, the sport. So Germany's out of the Euro. So now both of us don't have a team to support. We're going to have to regroup and decide what we're going to do with this. If we're going to still be watching or who we're going to be watching. And the temperatures have just dropped over the weekend. It was so cold. We were doing so well last week. There were a couple of days where I thought, wow, this is actually a very pleasant semi-summer, semi-winter day, and then, things just went downhill from there. But I hope you're warm. I hope you're snuggled up and drinking something warm if you're listening right now, or you're dressed appropriately, maybe in your onesie or your jersey or your jacket, or you've got the heater on or something to keep you warm and crisp as you listen for the next hour. And, of course, congratulations to the Springboks winning against the Irish. That was a great win, good sort of a good startish to what is going to be some great rugby over the coming weeks and months. And what else did I get up to this week? Let's have a quick look here through the diary. IATA, the organization that looks after all things travel and airlines, airports, all of those things under sort of one umbrella. They had their Wings of Change Focus Africa conference this week in Johannesburg, which was great. Had a chance to attend that, meet many interesting people in that space, including airline bosses and people related to travel and airlines, and some very interesting conversations being had there. And I want to try and set up an interesting interview with their chief economist, who raised some very interesting points around why our airlines are so expensive and how expensive it is to run an airline in Africa. So we're going to try and get that going, Vincenzo, in the next week or two. Then FlySafair and Suzuki had a bit of a launch on the Garden route this week, which I had a chance to attend with some media colleagues and some content creators, and we had a blast exploring the stretch between Gqeberha and George over 2 days and doing a little bit of a treasure hunt, a little bit of an amazing race in a 5-door Jimny, 4 of us in a car, complete strangers to start, and I think a close-knit bond after we left, having done all kinds of amazing things, from jumping in the ocean to taking all kinds of wild and wonderful content along that stretch. And we're going to put a little bit of a highlights reel up, I think, on Instagram. So if you want to have a peek at what we got up to, you're going to check that out. Then Lego also had a bit of a launch at the Mall of Africa. They've brought out a whole range of Formula One inspired Lego kits. So if you're into Formula One, if you're into Lego, well, there you go. There's a great combination there. And then, of course, over the weekend, I celebrated my dad's 90th, as I mentioned last week. And it was a very special, very emotional, and just a super day. We wish him all the health, wealth, and happiness as he moves into the next chapter of his life. And that was really, really special. So, who are we talking to this week, or what are we talking about this week? Well, in a bit, I will be taking you through some of my travel notes on a recent trip that I did to Dubai. I did a bit of a stopover there on my way back from Spain. So I'm going to have a look at some of the things I got to do and see and share those with you. Then I'll be chatting to a South African artist who now finds his artwork on energy drink cans around the world. Stay listening for that. This is a really great story. And finally, two well-known South African chefs are joining forces for a culinary collaboration that you don't want to miss. All this and more coming up next on the Sandton Times Hour.
From Greater Sandton to the rest of the world, this is the Sandton Times Hour.
So I'm diving into what it's like to experience a stopover in the ever-evolving city of Dubai. And I recently had the opportunity to visit Dubai again, roughly 6 years after my last trip, and I can tell you the city has transformed dramatically. And I'm sure a lot of people who've been in and out of Dubai over the last couple of years will probably share my sentiments. And let's talk about the changes, the challenges, and the incredible experiences you can expect on your next stopover in that bustling metropolis. And first, let's talk about the city's expansion. And when I first visited Dubai in 2009-ish, give or take, the Dubai Metro was still relatively new. And when I talk about the Dubai Metro, imagine something a bit like the Gau train on a different level. They only had a handful of stations when I first arrived in Dubai. Fast forward to today, and there are now over, I'd say, about 24 stops and stations, with even more planned for the future. It's amazing to see how quickly the city of Dubai has just grown and expanded, and it just seems to be never ending. And I believe by 2030, Dubai aims to double its GDP, and you can certainly feel the vision and the drive of its leadership wherever you go in and around Dubai. However, with the rapid growth comes some growing pains, and during my visit, the public metro system was taking a bit of strain due to those recent floods that you might have seen on television, and many routes and stations were impacted, and they were making travel a bit unpleasant at times, to be quite honest. The metro was packed to the brim, often without an inch to breathe. And if you're planning a trip, keep this in mind. And I believe things are being fixed and moved forward as fast as possible. Obviously, it's a matter of getting spare parts and getting the right people to fix the right things at the right time. So these things do take a bit of time. But perhaps consider this, and there are plenty of alternative transportation options in Dubai if you choose to maybe take something a little bit different, if you don't necessarily want to go through the exercise of using the metro. But then let's talk about the best time to visit Dubai. If you've never been, or if you've thought about going and weren't quite sure, well, for those planning a stopover, I would aim to go for the winter months, November to April, slightly cooler. And these periods offer the best holiday weather and are a little bit more pleasant temperatures, and I think perfect for exploring the city, especially if you like walking quite a bit. You want to go outside. You don't want it to be too hot, because generally the other months outside of November to April can be remarkably hot. And when we say remarkably hot, we're looking at averages at a maximum of 44 degrees Celsius, and on the low side, 30 degrees Celsius. So trust me, you want to be wandering around Dubai when the temperature is less than that, because it is extremely hot. Another point to consider is the cost. Dubai has become significantly more pricier since my last visit in 2018. And I'm not quite sure if it's the prices that have gone up, or if it's the rand that's gotten a little bit weaker, or if it's a combination of both. But it's clear that a trip to Dubai will require a very healthy budget. And that said, the experiences and attractions available are truly world-class and worth the investment. But you're going to have to box smartly. If you want to get the best bang for your buck, make sure that you plan accordingly. And speaking of experiences, there's plenty to do. There's the all-time classics. There's the iconic landmarks like the Burj Khalifa, the Palm Jumeirah. There's cultural sites, the Dubai Museum, the souks, the more historic neighborhoods. And then, of course, there's all the shopping you can do. Dubai Mall, Mall of the Emirates. There's outlet shops, and so much more. If you like skydiving, zip lining, things on the water, things under the water, there is plenty to do. You just have to pick and choose what you want to do. One of the highlights that I decided to pick and choose while I was there, it happened to be Dubai Restaurant Week. So I thought, well, okay, if it's Dubai Restaurant Week, great opportunity to dive into one of over 65 of the finest eateries in Dubai. And over 10,000 guests normally make use of this great window period to try out limited edition meals, menus, and of course, savoring some of the incredible cuisine that Dubai has to offer at very reasonable prices, because some of these restaurants, either you can't get into them or they're just so incredibly expensive that you would say, I'm not quite sure if I would do this. But Restaurant Week kind of offers you a chance to go and explore this. I went to go check it out. I mean, some of the menus are priced sort of between 125 and 250 dirham, which is about 600 rand to 1,200 rand per person, which is, for a 3-course meal, top of the range with some bottled water, good quality. I think it's not completely unreasonable, and you're eating in an international destination, bearing in mind. And I got a chance to try out 3 of these. Junes, which is close to the Burj Khalifa, and then Uchi and Rare, which have only been open for, I think, just over 6 months or less than 6 months. So they're brand new restaurants that have opened in Dubai. Junes was a really lovely experience. I went there for dinner. Chef Kelvin Chung is in charge of Junes, and some really great dishes. And what was lovely is that the chef came, he personally presented the dishes and had some great stories that he weaved into why he came up with this dish. And the starters, some beautiful rainbow heirloom carrots with smoked labneh, candied walnuts. I mean, what a beautiful starter. Some corn-fed baby chicken with Penang red curry was a wonderful main. And then dessert, some peppercorn Basque-style cheesecake. Really delicious, a lovely experience. Then I had a chance to try out Uchi, which is more of a authentic Japanese cuisine restaurant. They had everything from sea bass to poached black cod as a main, and then, of course, also a delicious dessert to end off the meal, which was really great and a very different experience as this was during lunch. And then Rare, which also, once again, has a mix of modern elegance and very bold flavors. And I had the Brazola starter with smoked potato, slow egg, and shaved truffles, which was a beautiful way to start lunch. And then the main course and the dessert equally as delicious. And it just gave me a sense that Dubai has so much to offer when it comes to fine dining and cuisine that it's a real treat, and you probably won't be able to do all of it in a stopover. But I think for those living in Dubai, it's certainly one of those things where you could probably eat out at a different restaurant 2 or 3 times a week and never eat at the same restaurant twice in a year. So stopover in Dubai offers an incredible blend of all that is modern, but then also this traditional element, and obviously the culinary scene is second to none. And I believe it's currently the fastest growing segment of the economy, hospitality and restaurants. Everybody around the world is coming to Dubai to open a restaurant or a hotel or both or something related to that. And that is really showing some incredible offerings for those people visiting. Let's take a quick break and more from my Dubai travel notes straight after the break. Stay right where you are.
The best of talk and music in 1 hour. This is the Sandton Times Hour.
Dodging winter blues or gunning for a deadlift PB? Whatever your reason, ignite your winter fire with Virgin Active. Join now. Score July free, plus up to 50% off fees for 3 months. Call 0860-GET-FIT or visit a club to get started. virginactive.co.za. T's and C's apply. Everybody has a reason.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media.
@Sandton Times.
I'm picking up on my travel notes from a recent stopover in the dazzling city of Dubai, and during this visit I had a chance to explore 2 exceptional hotels. The first one was W Dubai Mina CI, and the second one was Hilton Dubai Palm Jumeirah, both of which opened in the last 2 or 3 years. So they're really brand new hotels in relation to probably many other properties. And let's dive into what makes these hotels stand out in a city known for its luxury and innovation. And I must say, W Dubai is, the W hotels have been around for a bit. There's about 60 properties worldwide, and they're inspired by this 24/7 culture of New York City, and they're unbelievably popular properties. And I couldn't quite understand, having never stayed at a W hotel, why people love them so much. And having now stayed at the one in Dubai, I can totally understand. Because the meticulous attention to detail at these hotels is incredible. from the deco to the actual in-room experience. It's very rare when you stay in hotels, as part of your work and you travel a lot. There have been very few hotels that are so unique that you say, wow, this is something different. This is something fresh, something I have never seen before. And W Hotels, and especially W Dubai, was just one of those hotels where I went, wow, this is something completely new. I mean, I was really going through all the little details and going, wow, I've never seen this, I've never seen that. This is very cool. This is very different. They've also got this iconic whatever, whenever service. So there's a button on your phone, you press it and you say, whatever, whenever I need something, I press that button and there's a person who magically pulls something out of a hat and makes something happen for you, which is really great. The meticulous detail in the decor. I mean, from the entrance, the welcome desk, which is beautifully put together, also very much designed around the destination. So if you look at like Dubai, obviously the reception at W Hotels was reflective of the space that it's in. The hotel has about 318 rooms, including 27 suites, all sea-facing with private balconies. A fantastic nightlife, and one of which is the Atiko Rooftop Lounge. So it's a bit of an eatery, but also has a live DJ with an outside balcony where you can have drinks, and the views are spectacular. If you go there at night, I had a chance to have a quick nightcap up there and just take it all in. It really is something super and special, and something that you're going to have to go and have a look at. And of course, there's myriad of bars. They've also got a private beach, which is called Malachite Beach Club and Pool. So residents can go there. And they've got a 50-meter long pool and private beach there. And, it gives a little bit of nightlife to W Dubai. And what's really nice is that it's become a real hotspot. So you've got people coming from the outside. You've got people staying at the hotel, all taking in all these offerings that W Dubai Mina CI has on offer. And probably one of my best stays in Dubai, for sure. And then I also had a chance to visit the Hilton Dubai Palm Jumeirah, also a new property. And it brings all that people know and love about Hilton to the Palm Jumeirah. It has 608 guest rooms and suites. It has multiple eateries and spaces where you can go and eat. I must say, it was probably one of the most well-equipped hotel rooms I've ever stayed in. I mean, the details were just amazing. There was pretty much anything and everything you could ask for in this hotel room, including probably one of the biggest safes I've ever seen in a hotel. I mean, you could literally pack a small suitcase into this safe. But, I'd rather have a bigger safe than a smaller safe. I've also stayed at hotels where you can't even fit a laptop into a safe, which I think is probably like the bare minimum. If nothing else, never mind a photo camera or anything else that you might want to put in there. So that was really impressive and really great location. A totally different experience to W Dubai, very different look and feel. Very big property, beautiful beach and swimming pool, and just one of those places that you can sort of mix business and pleasure, because it caters to sort of your holiday market, but if you're there on business, it's also got all those facilities that you would want, all packaged in a way that you are familiar with, and you're not going to be left wanting. So aside from the culinary experiences, the property supposedly also has one of the longest pools in Dubai, and also has a spa, entertainment spaces, and all those good things. So if you want to find out a little bit more about these properties, don't forget you can jump onto the sandtontimes.co.za and have a look at the full reviews and take some time to get familiar with these properties. And if you're visiting Dubai in the next couple of weeks or months, well, here's maybe a little bit of inspiration for you to check out from maybe some places you might want to eat or some places you might want to stay.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
As we get into the second half of the Sandton Times Hour, don't forget that if you caught something inspiring, interesting, intriguing during the show this week, but you missed all the details, you can't remember who we spoke to, why we spoke to them, or how you get more information, well, hop onto the website. There's a whole list of details there in our comprehensive show notes, some more links, some more references, and you can get all those details there so you don't have to stress and try and jot it down on a piece of paper or try and remember it. Also, don't forget you can follow the Sandton Times on social media at Sandton Times, and make sure that you do that, and you can stay updated as well. Well, this next interview is a really interesting one because we've been working on it for quite some time, and I'm so thrilled that we've managed to make it happen. He is an artist, and you might hear by the sound of his voice that he is of familiar ground, a familiar area to all of us. His name is Mark Pinky Taylor, and about 10 years ago, he created a very simple doodle that caught the attention of somebody at Monster Energy Drink at an event. And today he is set to become one of the world's most prolific artists, using this talent that he has for art on a Monster energy drink can. It's sold across the United States. His graffiti-inspired creations have definitely defined his signature style, and he's now working in collaboration with Monster, and he's left his mark on the world of energy drinks. He joins me all the way from California, and Pinky Taylor, it's good to have you on the Sandton Times Hour.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm glad to be here.
It's amazing to have you, and this is quite a journey, and I think let's quickly rewind the clock here a little bit in terms of, how do we get to this point? What's been your artistic journey, and how did you come to work with Monster?
It wasn't anything planned. My journey, it just all happened. I started surfing in Durban, South Africa, and I was always an artist. I would always do art. I went to art college in Port Elizabeth, and then, when I surfed, I was like, I need to make some extra money, and I started painting on surfboards, and then I started playing music. So I like anything creative, and then our band ended up in California, and then I ended up continuing to do art, and then I would draw on everything I could find, and I think I was at a trade show, and the guys from Monster saw me there, and we started developing a relationship, and I kind of became an art ambassador for them. They would send me around America to do events, which was super fun. And then 15 years later, they phoned me, and they were like, "Hey, we still have this artwork you did," because I did a bunch of art for them, and like on surfboards, etc. Put it up in the offices, and they were like, "Do you want to do a collaborate on a can with us?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?"
So if I've got this right, it's the Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red can. I don't even know if we can, if we get that in South Africa. I must actually have a look. We get so many of the different variants.
Yeah, no, you got it perfectly right. And I think, it launched in America and some other places. And I think next year would be the international launch. I'm sure, and I hope it does get to South Africa, because that would make, a full circle story for me. Well, really exciting.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for that, definitely. But what inspired the design behind this particular can?
Honestly, I was just having fun, and I used to do these. I was into anime when I was younger, and I used to do these little doodles of like characters, like good versus evil, monsters, robots, and little bunnies. People always resonated to it, and even though I continued to develop my art, I'd always come back to that because people would request it. And the same thing happened. Yeah, I haven't changed any of this art since I was like 8 years old, and it just keeps growing by itself. It's its own, it has its own energy, and it just, I've done a lot of collaborations now, and this is my biggest one to date, and it's just wild. It just keeps growing.
Tell me, how does this change when you have to express yourself on a can? Because on the one hand, you've got your unique style. It works on certain canvases. It works on certain platforms. Now you've got to put it onto something that consumers have to buy. So there's also a little bit of a marketing / packaging exercise that you have to bear in mind as well. And then also it has to live with the trademark, with the logo of Monster Energy Drink on a can. Like, are there limitations? Are there challenges? How do you kind of adapt and make that all work?
Yeah, that's one of the great things working with Monster. And, everyone I work with, I kind of have a similar, I would say I don't like to change things, to manipulate my art, to do that. And the great, relationship I have with Monster, they just take my art as is, and we work, we don't, there's no restrictions, which is amazing, and sometimes I'll even have wild ideas, and they will be like, let's do it, like they projected my art, close to the Brooklyn Bridge, like huge on a building that they were trying to wrap even the old Tower Records building. Like, we've done some really fun stuff, and they don't really have limits, and they're really open, and trust what I want to do, and I trust them with my art. So it's a really nice relationship.
It definitely sounds like it, because I think very often for artists sometimes get themselves in a situation where, it sounds like a good idea to bring an artist on board and to do these cool things or whatever. But then the moment it gets into a corporate boardroom, it's almost like where dreams go to die, because
Exactly.
it doesn't work, or the marketing team doesn't feel like it speaks to what they want to do, etc. And before you know it, everyone's having to compromise on who they are and what they do, and suddenly you have sort of a bit of a half-baked release.
Yeah, totally. And I think particularly with this style of art, it hasn't changed since I was really young. And I refer to it, and I did have a label with it called Pinky Pop 123. That's how I refer to this particular art that I did with Monster. But yeah, the Pinky Pop art, it's just, I think because it comes from, like a inner child kind of place and energy, that I think people tap into the funness of it, and they let their guard down, and they feel a certain way about it, and they trust it. So it's really fun. And then, the characters are cute, and then the other characters are kind of evil. So it's good versus evil, if you want to make it really basic. And I think that's another aspect that they liked about it, the contrast. So yeah, just to hit a bigger demographic for them. So I think it worked out. Yeah.
How did the name Pinky come about? You've got to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I used to surf, me and a good friend of mine, Max, we used to watch a cartoon called Pinky and the Brain, and I used to refer to him as the Brain, but he'd always call me Pinky, and then other people heard it secondhand, and it just started sticking. We'd go everywhere together, so it'd be like, here comes Pinky and the Brain, but. Yeah, I kept the nickname.
And then on the signature of on the can, do you get a chance to sign your name on it as well, or is it just the artwork?
It's the artwork, and they have a little bio on me on the back. And then when I do events, I get to sign my name. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So how do you see this collaboration sort of influencing your future work? Has this sort of changed the way you look at things, maybe the way you engage with projects, or projects that you maybe previously thought I'd never touch those, now you might consider doing those?
Yeah, honestly, it opened up a lot of opportunities for me, just with the huge reach that Monster has. I mean, I get so many people like messaging me or sending me photos with them on the cam. I mean, and just it's just out there. Like I was watching a UFC event, and they had my can art on in the ring. I was watching skating the other day, and Naya Houston was drinking my can. Like, it's just everywhere. So it's just it's really amazing, and people pick up on it. I think it's different, so people do notice it, and it's vibrant. It has some of that texture. So yeah, it sticks out. So I get a lot of feedback from it, and then I create connection. So it's really fun. And yeah, they just like I said, they send me all over the place. I do art shows. I can hit them up and pitch some ideas to them, and they're very open-minded, and it's just a really great relationship. And yeah, I can see it growing. I can see my brand Pinky Pop 123 also benefiting and growing from it. I'm planning to do, clothing next year from it. So that's going to be really fun.
Well, this is fantastic. It's always great to have South Africans doing some amazing things, and often in places that we would never expect to look for them. Mark Pinky Taylor, it's good to have you on the Sandton Times Hour. And if people are listening, go check it out. If you manage to get a hold of a can of Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red, I'm going to have a look if we have it at the shops here. But you said it might only launch next year. But if people are traveling overseas, go check it out and pick up a can. It's been so great to chat to you, Pinky.
Thank you so much.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media.
@Sandton Times.
Now, two of South Africa's award-winning chefs, Chef Wandile Mabaso and Chef Johannes Richter, are set to join forces for a unique 2-day culinary collaboration in Greater Sandton. And Chef Richter is known for his critically acclaimed restaurant down on the East Coast. It's called The Living Room at Summerhill in Durban. And of course, we also head to Sandton to look at Chef Wandile Mabaso, who runs his esteemed restaurant in Bryanston called Les Creatifs. And both chefs join me on the line right now. And Chef Johannes and Chef Wandile, great to have you on the Sandton Times Hour.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great to have both of you. And Chef Wandile, maybe let's kick off with you, considering that you are hosting this in Bryanston, in Sandton. What inspired both of you to embark on this collaboration? And how do you think your unique styles are going to complement each other in creating this unique dining experience?
Well, where do I start? I mean, I think I met Chef Johannes about 3 years ago. The year that we met, I was the 2022 Chef of the Year. And I think just meeting each other through the awards, we became friends. And also being the outsiders, because, in our industry, in the country, it's all dominated by the Western Cape. So there was like one or two of us not from the Western Cape, and it happened to be us. And we really connected. I admired his approach to cuisine, the authenticity, and just being different in a era where everybody's trying to keep up with the trends or keep up with who's doing what, and really just finding your own niche market, being patient in making it grow and people understand what you're doing. So our philosophies were aligned, and I visited his restaurant in KZN, and I was highly impressed, and I loved the philosophy. And I thought, why not do something different between KZN and Johannesburg, and, a Soweto-born chef and a German-born chef as well. Putting the two philosophies together, the creativity, the attention to detail, especially when it comes to ingredients, and how we acquire our ingredients as well, the sustainability part, which I think the living room is more attached to. And seeing what could come out from that, something completely new for the country.
It's fantastic, and it's nice to see two restaurants in two provinces that are not the usual melting pot when it comes to these sort of culinary and gastronomical experiences like Cape Town has become. And it's nice to see that talent and that experience is also now in other parts of South Africa. Chef Johannes, if we can just touch on these dishes that you're going to be presenting. I believe it's a 7-course lunch and dinner, depending on what you like. And then, of course, it's paired with wines, which is always something that South Africa, I think, is an ace up our sleeves because we do such fantastic wines. But tell us a little bit more about these dishes that you're going to be putting together.
We had a quick phone call about this collaboration, and both of us immediately said, let's do it. We were both, sold on the idea, and quickly Wandile was down here for a meeting and came up to visit us, and we brainstormed on how we're going to do this, that it's not entirely the run of the mill, how we can also really showcase both of our strengths and give Gauteng something really special that maybe hasn't been done before in a four-hands dinner format in the provinces up to now. So we sat down and we said, should we collaborate on all the dishes? Should everyone just do their own thing? And with both of us really finding our roots in South African culture and trying to really give that a bit of our own stylistic that is far away from the Western Cape and has its own identity because of the locations that we're in. We decided to work to our strengths in a manner in which both of us will be doing 3 dishes. And for the main course, which is something that I'm really excited about because I think it's going to turn out like a real bombshell, we decided to collaborate completely and do a dish that we are basically going to be doing as a collaborative effort, where both teams are basically going to give input to, and we're going to do a lovely team effort on.
That sounds fantastic. And I'm going to come to Chef Wandile on some of his African culinary style that he's become so famous for. But Chef Johannes, before I do that, I want to quickly ask you about the operational side of having 2 chefs in the same kitchen. I know there's that saying about, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the broth, or however that saying goes. How do you operationally work this out? Do you kind of sort of each do a dish? Do you kind of, does one plate the protein, the other one plates the starch? How does that work?
6 of the dishes we are both going to head off separately. But I think, what's really important about these kind of collaborations in general is that you just share a lot of mutual respect, and that there's no ego involved. And I think, Chef Wandile and I, we've got a really good relationship and a lot of mutual respect for one another. He's worked abroad, I've worked abroad. We've also come into this industry, when we are in the Cape for award ceremonies or events, we also always kind of a little bit of an outsider. And on top of all of that, we also both run our own shows. Wandile is the owner of Les Creatifs, and I'm the owner of the Living Room. And in that regard, there's a lot of mutual respect and a lot of commonalities that we share. So I think we're all going to be just having fun predominantly. And when one person sends a dish, the whole team is going to help send that dish. And that's kind of the way we're going to rotate it.
Well, it sounds very interesting and very exciting and quite something else. Chef Wandile, I was touching on your African fine dining, and how that's become sort of your signature taste and signature look. Anything specific in terms of the dishes that you're looking for in terms of presenting that people should really be looking forward to when it comes to this 2-day collaboration?
I was in KZN about just over a month ago to actually discuss that with Chef Johannes. And my approach to it was that, listen, let's co-create the entire menu. And I think the chef came up with a better solution, which makes more sense, where we're going to collaborate in one main course, a lamb dish. And because of our sustainability concepts and our ethos in cooking, we're literally using from nose to tail. And this will help showcase our skills, showcase also our creativity, and just that humble cooking, that humility and authenticity in cooking, and taking humble ingredients and turning them into something amazing, which the French and the Italians have done with risottos and pasta, which are peasant food, really. And we also kept the other dishes from Johannes, straight from his kitchen. And this is to give Johannesburg a taste of who he really is and what the living room is really about, and not even coming into those dishes at all, and vice versa, where I then show what Le Creatif is about. And so it's a combination of really showcasing what we can do together and also separately what we're bringing onto the table, because some of the guests have never been to Le Creatif or never been to the living room. So it was important to do that. But with my cuisine, which we call Afrique Moderne, which is modernizing African cuisine, it's still work in progress. I'm still evolving in that nature. These collaborations actually helps us evolve even further, because we're calling it, from humble roots to the city of gold. And we're really telling a story of the migration that happened from KZN to Johannesburg, which also relates to part of my family. My father's side came from Ladysmith to come look for work in Johannesburg. And we're telling that story, really, of coming from those humble roots and coming to the city of gold. And with our dessert that we're creating at the restaurant, it's got those elements where so far I'm calling it brandy and Coke. And this is to give people nostalgia, and these are the things that people were drinking when they were working in the gold mines, when they moved from KZN to Johannesburg.
Amazing. Well, if you're listening to this and you're a big fan of fine dining, or you enjoy your food and you want to try something that sounds really exciting, it's going to probably be a bit of a once-off experience. So if you don't get it now, I don't know when you're going to get it again. But it's happening on the 19th and the 20th of July. There's a lunch and dinner session, and dinner's priced at 2,500 Rand per person, which is a 7-course menu with wine pairing. All the details are up on the Sandton Times. So if you heard that, you can't remember where it is, who we spoke to, what the details are, just go onto the website. It's all there and you can work it out in your own time. And Chef Johannes Richter and, of course, Chef Wandile Mabaso, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Sandton Times Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to the dinner.
And with that, it's all we have time for this week on the Sandton Times Hour. As always, available on all good podcast platforms, including Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Podcast Party, and so many more. If you want to get in touch, you can email edit@sandtontimes.co.za or connect on social media @Sandton Times. And of course, jump onto the website, www.sandtontimes.co.za. And as always, I encourage you to send through your comments, your questions, your feedback, your input. All of those are welcome, and it's always great to get your correspondence. Thank you to all the guests who made time to be on the show this week, and of course, the team behind the scenes that makes all of this happen. And of course, thank you to you for listening, and let's do it all again next week.
That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Sandton Times Hour. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share it.